I want to make a video today on alcohol and training and how it affects you negatively. And not everybody was my situation where they were a really heavy drinker, but it still doesn't help even if you are a casual drinker at all. So in my story, I went from being an alcoholic, like full-fledged, to a gold medalist in powerlifting in, it was about 8 months, maybe even shorter than that, because that's how much it holds you back. My strength shot up like crazy when I actually stopped drinking. But so if you find yourself like, inside that you have a problem with drinking, you'll know, like I knew, even in the throes of my addiction, I knew inside that like it was bad, and it was not a normal amount that I was consuming. If you know that, or if someone has told you that, or they're worried about you, then I think it's pretty clear. But what I did to help stop, right? The first thing that you got to consider is, if you're not ready to change, you are not gonna change. You have to, inside yourself, know that it's time to make a difference. And for me, I was left with no choice. So what had happened with me was, I went on a work trip, and of course, inevitably, I got beyond hammered. And then the night goes on, and I got up to use the bathroom, tripped or slipped or something in the hotel room, and I cracked my head on a granite countertop. And I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, here, and then I had stitches here. I think it was like 10 stitches, maybe, or maybe 11. I can't remember, but blood ran in my eyes. I went blind. Praise God that I found the phone, called the front desk, and then it all came together and ended up at the hospital. Stitches, called to work later, in trouble, and then bam, mandated rehab for me. So I was blessed enough to have those things covered by my job. So, but I tell you all that to tell you that even with all that happening up to that point, if I had not had to call my job, if I had not had to take accountability, I'd probably still be drinking to this day. Because the biggest thing about getting the injury on my face was that I couldn't hide it from anybody, right? It's like if I burned half my hair off, I couldn't say that I was having a normal day or whatever. So with that injury, I couldn't show up to the meetings. I couldn't show up to work with it hiding inside of me like my drinking was that whole time. So when I learned while I was in the outpatient clinic was that I learned how to open myself up to change. And it was weird. I was using the drinking as like a way to control my life for some reason. But here's the problem. When you start drinking really heavy, your whole mindset, the whole way you process information, the things you say, the things you do are not you. Like your whole psyche just completely changes. It literally like hijacks your brain, makes you almost a completely different person. It's weird. Anywho, so with my problem, with my drinking problem, I had started drinking when I was like 13, and I loved it from that day all the way up until 4 years ago. I mean, I still probably would love it today, which is why I don't do it anymore. So if you find yourself in that situation where you're just drinking too much, where you feel uncomfortable inside, you got to find a way to distance yourself from it. You got to get it all out of your house. You got to stop going to places where people are drinking, at least for a year. And then once you hit that year mark, at least for me, it was pretty casual for me to say, no thanks, or avoid, or whatever. It didn't bother me anymore at that point. And now 4 years later, it's just another day. It's no big deal. The wife can have beers in the fridge. It doesn't bother me. I don't have to, I'm not like sweating bullets when I get near them or whatever. But so I also was lifting while I was drinking heavily. And so that's how I justified it with myself, is that I was still going to work, showing up, getting paid, feeding the family, and going to the gym. And what I really was doing was just burning my candle at both ends. So not a good way to live. But that's how I justified it. I said, oh, well, I'm doing these things. So it's not a problem. But really deep down, I knew it was a problem. But as soon as I quit drinking, the first, like, I don't know, 2 weeks was absolutely awful. My anxiety shot through the roof. I was having like panic attacks. I was having all sorts of weird stuff going on. But as soon as all that poison processed through my body, I started hitting the powerlifting really hard. My inflammation shot way down. I didn't have any like aches and pains in my elbows. My strength went way, way up. I had been powerlifting for like 6 years or 7 years at that point, and my squat was still below 405. My deadlift was, I think, maybe 385. My bench was, oh geez, it was like 230 or something, or 245. It wasn't anything to write home about. And as soon as I quit, like 7 months later, I competed in a powerlifting meet, and I got, actually won that division. It wasn't like a state or anything. It was just a local meet that qualifies you for state championships. But there's a funny story. I went in to weigh in, and I was overweight for my weight class. So I competed at, I think, the I forget what it was, 102 kilos and up or something like that. And actually ended up winning among that ring of people, which was pretty cool. It was a surprise. But my strength went up to, I squatted, I think, a little over 450, deadlifted 490, and benched 290 something. You know, those kilo plates are a little different. But it went great. I went home with a gold medal, and it was awesome. But that was a long time of suffering on my part, and self-induced suffering, to be honest. So alcohol absolutely kills all the gains you could potentially make. And I think one of the best things I ever heard about drinking was, I think it was my coach who said it. He said, if you've ever gotten a hangover, then you've achieved all that drinking has to offer. And that's the truth. It's completely useless. Sure, it's fun, and I get the appeal of it. It's nice to check out instantly as soon as you get home or wherever you are, because life is stressful, and there's no denying that. It's not always a joyous ride being on this planet, and being able to check out all the time really does make it a lot easier. However, now that I am here and I am sober, as they say, I notice a lot more of my life than the blur that it was when I was drinking. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I said to my wife I don't remember saying. There was a lot of, and like, here's the biggest problem. Now, when I see pictures or videos of me and my kids from then, they're all tinted, I guess you could say, in a way that this makes me feel grossed out, because I know that at that time I was just slamming booze all the time. So all those memories and those photos of me back then being a good dad, I really wasn't being a good dad. I was keeping this huge secret from everybody, and it just kind of, I wouldn't say ruined those memories, but it definitely changes my interpretation of those memories. I'm sure they're still great for my kids, but for me, I now know, right, that I was being a turd. So you'll see. If you're in my situation like I was then, once you come out of the other side, you'll see nothing but strength gains. You'll see nothing but cardio gains. You'll see better recollection of your memories. You'll see better interpretation of the inputs around you, right? Like, not every situation is going to be super awful, like your life is over. You're going to be able to handle stress and more things that come at you. You're not going to get nearly, oh my goodness, this is a big one. You're not going to get sick as often. I was getting sick all the time. I was getting common colds. I was getting fevers. I was getting all this stuff all the time because I was just trashing my immune system. And of course, like, to consider the other half of the equation, like your body inside and how much it affects you and poisons you. I had, at the end of it all, I had fatty liver disease, and I'm not sure how close I was to cirrhosis, but if you don't know the difference, fatty liver is like your liver is fat, and once it gets too fat, it'll get scars on it, and once the liver scars, there's no recovery for the liver, and then you have cirrhosis, which is not great. It's really bad, and it's a terrible, terrible way to die. So, man, I was close though, and I'm not gonna lie, I would probably still be there today if it wasn't for the way that God made things fall together when I first stopped. So thank God for my wife and the friends and family that I have. But yeah, so another thing to consider, there's also things like AA, which, I went to, not a fan. A lot of really sad people in there. And I get the purpose of it, to be among kindred spirits. But here's the thing about AA. When you go, everybody's allowed to talk. And sometimes you get some people that say some of the craziest stuff and go on the longest rants about nothing that you've ever heard. So yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't my kind of thing. I got my year chip from there, and then that was actually, I don't think I got my year chip. I think I got my 6th month, and then I didn't go back, and now I need to go back for my 4th year chip, but it's not my kind of jam. You could check it out if you have a problem and see if it is for you. It's for a lot of people. It saved a lot of people. But for me, not for me. But, so, I guess to wrap this up, I've been yapping on for a while. If you feel like you have a problem with alcohol, you probably do. It's, if you don't remember going to sleep at night, right? If you don't remember certain conversations you had, if you don't remember anything from a night of drinking, you may want to check yourself and, really take a look inside yourself and see where you're at with your relationship with alcohol. And I'll tell you, once you stop, it's nothing but good news. The relationships improve, your life improves, you get healthier, you can lift more weights, you can do more cardio, you can recover faster. There is really nothing that it offers you to bring you back once you stop, other than the fact that it's fun and it makes you socially more socially loose, I guess, and all that. But that's really not anything worth poisoning your liver over. To be honest, now that I'm looking back, it was never worth it. But I hope that if someone out there has the same condition I did, that this video helps them realize that they're just wasting time. They're spending their precious hours and minutes of their life not being able to remember it. So hopefully, if you do have an issue, you reach out to someone and you can stop. Or if you know someone who has an issue, it's okay to tell them that they have an issue, bring them into the fold, and try to get them help. Of course, they won't change until they're ready, but at least you know that you tried. So with that, got a lot of stuff to do today. I want to wake up early and take care of this real quick so I can try to get something out there. But thanks for watching if you did, and hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next one that I make.